Very good afternoon, dear students. So in today's class on network analysis and synthesis, we will continue with our previous discussion on network synthesis. We have talked about many things in network synthesis. We talked about pole zero plot. We also talked about the stability of the network functions which are represented by those pole zero plots. We have also discussed the determination of time domain behavior from those pole zero plots. Then we looked into Routh-Hurwitz array to determine the stability of a given network function. Then we had talked about the Hurwitz polynomial and the conditions that must be fulfilled for a polynomial to be called as Hurwitz polynomial. Then we had seen in the last class about the positive real function, that is PR functions, and those Hurwitz polynomials, they were part of PR functions. So we have seen how to determine the positive realness of a network function. So today we will move one more step forward, and students try to understand why at all we are trying to understand all these things, because we are representing our electric network with the help of network function, which is expressed in the form of Laplace transform. Okay, we have seen that our network function is a rational function having numerator polynomial in the form of s, and similarly denominator polynomial in the s. And once we are given with some network function, we have to convert that network function into its equivalent electric network, and that network will be having resistance, capacitance, and inductance. So what we want to have in the chapter of network synthesis, that we are given with a network function. We will check whether the given network function is stable or not. We will check whether the given network function is realizable or not, and then we will try to realize that network, or we will try to synthesize that network. Okay, so only then we will be able to see the physical structure of our given network function, which is nothing but in a way given electric network. Okay, so in today's class you will get a feel of the representation of a network function in terms of your electric network, or in a way you can say that we will synthesize an electric network from a given network function. So things may seem a bit confusing or a bit difficult to you people. So what I'll advise, that even after my class is over, you listen to my video again, you give a reading to the book in which you have the topic of this network synthesis, and then with passage of time you will be able to develop understanding of network synthesis in your mind. And purposely, in fact, I too have put a lot of effort in organizing your lecture in such a way that things will come to you in a sequence. Okay, that means that will help you in developing a better understanding. So maybe the same sequence will not be there in the book, but I have tried to follow a different sequence, and in fact I have tried to keep easier things first, so that you are able to understand the concept of network synthesis. Okay, though we are in the final stages of this chapter of network synthesis, but I'll advise that you keep on revising things you have already studied in network synthesis, so that you are able to develop clear-cut understanding of this topic. Okay, I hope you have got the feeling of today's lecture, and now we continue. So dear students, this is the concept of network synthesis. Your network synthesis refers to the operational procedure. Okay, so means we will look into the methodology or the procedure with the help of which we will determine our network. So we will have network synthesis, or we will realize our network through some operational procedure. We will first understand procedures, and then we will follow that procedure. Okay, and you can see here operational procedure in which a positive real function, that is your PR function. We have already talked about PR function. So that PR function will be given for some impedance or some admittance. Okay, so your network synthesis refers to the operational procedures in which a positive real function is given for ZS or YS. Okay, and in your syllabus you will find a term emittance. So that emittance is a combination of impedance and your admittance. So when we call emittance, it means it implies both things, either impedance or your admittance. So it is nothing a new word. Fine. Then when do we say that our network synthesis is complete? We will say that our network synthesis procedure is complete when all the network elements which are present in that network, that is your either resistance or capacitance or inductance, they are either known to us or we have identified. And how will we do that? In most of the steps of synthesis, usually we will perform long division procedure, and this long division procedure we also have seen during our Hurwitz polynomial determination. So such kind of thing will also apply here. So in most of the cases of network synthesis, we will follow long division procedure, and you will see that in the coming lectures. Fine. I hope this concept of network synthesis is clear to each and everyone. So as I told you that network synthesis is an operational procedure in which positive real function is given for your impedance function or your admittance function. So if you are given that PR function in the form of impedance function, we can express that as sum of, you can say, two impedances. Similarly, your admittance function can also be expressed in the form of sum of two admittances. So we know that in case we express impedance as sum of two impedances, so it means those will be in series. So you can see here that your ZS is having Z1 and Z2 in series. That's why they are in plus here. Okay. And we know that in case of admittance, those are expressed as simple summation when those admittances are in parallel. So you can see here that, sorry, this will not be Y2S, this will be YS. So what do we have? YS equals to Y1S plus Y2S, and Y1 and Y2, they are in parallel. Okay. So in the concepts that we will be discussing in the coming slides, we will be assuming that our impedance functions, they are in series normally, and our admittance functions, they are in parallel. And the logic behind that is they can be simply added if we have such a kind of representation. Fine. So next. So students, before we look into the steps of network realization, we must understand few concepts. Okay, we have talked about what are poles and what are zeros. We know that pole means poles are the roots of denominator polynomial, and zeros are the roots of numerator polynomial in which we are expressing any network function. Okay, so now we need to understand that what is the meaning of pole at infinity. All of us have seen the pole zero plot. Okay, so here we had, you can say, real part of S, and here we had imaginary part. So this is sigma axis, and this is your j omega axis. Okay, so if we have a pole at infinity and say real pole, it means that pole will be having at infinity. Like obviously we'll have that pole in the negative half of S plane, so it will lie in infinity in this direction. Fine. So that is the meaning of pole at infinity. Fine. So now that is graphical representation, but we will first have a look at the network function. So if we look at network function, how will we identify whether that network function has a pole which is lying at infinity? So we have to identify pole at infinity in ZS, that is your impedance function. So what do I want to say here? That we have an impedance function, impedance network function. In that impedance network function, I have to identify whether I have any pole at infinity or not. First thing. Second thing is, if there is a pole at infinity, what does it mean in terms of network element? Okay, because we have to realize that network. So in a way, I can say that pole at infinity is equivalent to some circuit element connected in that circuit. We have to notice that, and it will be clear to you also. So first, the meaning of pole at infinity in network function is that in that case, the numerator polynomial of ZS will be having degree 1 greater than the denominator polynomial. Okay, so that is the meaning of pole at infinity. Means the degree of numerator polynomial. What is the degree here? N plus 1. And the degree of denominator polynomial is n. So numerator degree is 1 higher than denominator polynomial. If such is the case, then we will call that in this network function we have a pole at infinity. Okay, means one extra s in numerator. In simple sense, you can understand it like this. Okay, so if we have extra power of s in numerator, and then if we divide this fraction, so what will happen? You will have some term like let me give you an example. Like if you have s cube in the numerator, and if you have s square in the denominator, say s cube plus 1 in the numerator. Okay, fine. So if you divide, what you will have? You will have, say, s cube plus 1. You divide by s square. What you will have? Your quotient will be s. Fine. So you'll have s cube. Okay. Say plus s, something like this. So then you will subtract. So it means you have a quotient as 1. Sorry, as s. So same is the case here. If we perform long division, your ZS can be expressed as HS, where H is some constant. Here this constant was 1. If I had said 2s cube, so what would have been the case? I would have taken the quotient as 2s, and then I'll get 2s cube like this. So H is 2 here. So it means if I express this polynomial where degree of polynomial numerator is more than denominator by 1, in that case it will be equal to HS plus. Now that extra s has come out, and we will now be left with the same degree for numerator and denominator. So you can see s raised power n, sn minus 1, and so on. And the coefficient values, that is changed because of the division. Okay, so after long division we have expressed this. Okay, now again see what we had expressed for our impedance function. I told you that your impedance function can be expressed as z is equal to z1 plus z2. So see here, your zs is summation of this hs plus this network function, which may have certain network elements, but we still do not know what are the network elements in the second component or second part, but we know what is HS. You recall LS. If you represent an inductor in Laplace transform, you represent that inductor's impedance ZL equal to LS. And we have here HS. So what does it mean? That HS means an inductor. It represents an inductor whose value is H. So this Z1s is equivalent to Hs, which can be represented as an inductor. Okay, and this inductor's value is H, and H is nothing but An plus 1 divided by Bn. See, An plus 1 is the coefficient of Sn plus 1 and Bn is the coefficient of Sn. So this way we can directly determine the value of L, and we can say that we have identified an inductor which is in series with the rest of the network. So let me conclude what I have tried to explain in this slide, that I have been given a network function in the form of impedance. I will identify whether I have a pole at infinity in that network function or not. How will I identify? I will check whether the degree of numerator is 1 greater than degree of denominator or not. If it is 1 greater, that means there is a pole at infinity. In that case, I will perform one step of long division and my network function will be split in two terms. One term will be Hs and second term will be another fraction, which I do not know what does it represent. But the first term, that is the quotient term, is Hs, which is nothing but a series inductor. Okay, so I have extracted one element out of the given network function. So, and I will keep on proceeding like this. If I want to represent a network function in the form of network elements, I'll extract element by element all the things and then keep on representing my network accordingly. Okay, so this was one thing. I hope this thing is clear to each and everyone. Okay, now let us move forward. So in the previous slide, what we discussed pole at infinity in ZS. That is, my network function is impedance function. So my network function could be admittance function also. So in case I have pole at infinity in my admittance function, so rest of the concepts are exactly same. What I have done, that your ZS has been replaced with YS. Now this is nothing but this is YS. Okay, so it means this HS is also what? Y1S. Fine. And what is this thing? This is Y2S, which I do not know what does it have in its representation, but I know what is Y1S. I know I can identify Y1S. Okay, so this Y1S, is it inductor? No, dear students, this is admittance. So my admittance, if my admittance is HS, that is not inductor. Try to recall capacitor. What is the impedance or capacitance representation of a capacitor? Your ZC is nothing but 1 by CS. This is how we represent a capacitor's impedance in Laplace domain. Then what will be my admittance for capacitance? It will be CS. So in case of admittance function, this HS represents not inductor but a capacitor, and the value of that capacitor is what? H. The same way we represented inductor. Okay, so what we have, this, in case of admittance function, this HS represents a capacitor. Okay, and its value of the capacitor is An plus 1 divided by Bn. Okay, and see, your Y1 plus Y2, and these Y1 and Y2, they are in parallel. That's why they have been added together. Okay, so there I told you that this inductor will be in series, whereas in case of admittance function, this capacitor will be in parallel. This capacitor will be in parallel. So what we have done, in case of admittance function, we have extracted capacitor, whereas in case of impedance function, we had extracted inductor, series inductor, when there was a pole at infinity. I hope this thing is clear to each and everyone. So students, after identifying a pole at infinity, now we will identify whether there is a pole at 0. Okay, so pole at 0 means if you are given a pole 0 plot, you know that this is 0. Okay, 0 point. So pole at 0 means we have a cross at 0, means in the numerator we have a factor or root which is s equal to 0 in the numerator, sorry, denominator. Fine. So this is a, you can say, pole at 0. So first we identified in the previous two slides pole at infinity. Now we will identify pole at 0 in the impedance function. So how will we identify? So pole at 0 means we have a pole means root in denominator. Okay, so we will have s, simple s. See, if we have s is equal to say -5, this is one pole, and say that pole is located here, say this is -5. Okay, and if we have to express this pole in network function, this term will represent as like this, s plus 5. Okay, and your pole at 0 is identified as multiplied with s. So this is how your denominator will look like, s into s plus 5. So what does it mean? It has two roots. One root is at s equal to 0 and another root is at s equal to 5 -5. Okay, so this s means it is pole at 0. So we will have s multiplied with the remaining function in the denominator. Okay, that means we will have one extra degree in the denominator polynomial. Earlier we had extra degree in numerator polynomial. Here we have in denominator polynomial. So pole at 0 means your denominator polynomial has degree 1 greater than the numerator. And you see here, see, uh, here you have this polynomial has been expressed in the reverse manner. Okay, so here what you have here, a naught is a constant, and what is the power of s here? The power is s raised to power 0, and this b1 is the smallest constant here. So here what we are doing, b1 is multiplied with s, so this is s raised to power 1. So we have one extra s in your denominator polynomial. Okay, so if our zs is expressed like this, we will say that your pole at 0 exists in case of impedance function. Now the way we did in the previous slide, we segregated that pole at infinity by long division. Similarly, we will segregate by long division the pole at 0. Okay, so you see what happened in the previous case. We had hs plus this thing. Okay, s was in the numerator, whereas here the segregated function will be k naught by s, and this s will be in the denominator. Okay, it is a kind of this thing, like if you have say s square in the numerator and if you have s cube in the denominator. Okay, so say s square plus 5, this is what we have in the numerator, and we have in the denominator as s cube. So what we will do, we will divide s, say 2s square. So we have 2s square plus 5, and we will divide this 2s square plus 5 by s cube. How to divide now? We will be able to divide only when we will be able to match their power. So power of divisor is more. So we will have to, what we'll have to do? We'll have to divide by s. And we have 2 also. So we'll have to divide, you can see our quotient will be 2 by s. So 2 by s multiplied with s cube will give us 2s square. This is how we match the things. So what we have in the quotient? 2 by s. That's why we have represented here k naught by s. K naught is a constant which will be there in your quotient, and it is your 1 by s. So what we have done, we have segregated our impedance function into two. This k naught by s is nothing but z1, and this is our remaining thing, that is your z2. So this is z2, and z1 is nothing but your k naught by s. And this we can easily express in the form of network element. We will just see. Okay, what does it mean? This z is impedance. See here, z1 is impedance, and our impedance function is given as some constant k naught by s. Okay, so our impedance function has s in denominator for the case of capacitor. If we have a capacitor, its impedance is represented as 1 by cs in case of capacitor. And since we have see, compare the two now. If we compare, what is the value of k naught? K naught is 1 by c. Okay, so your what does it mean? That we have a capacitor in series with your z2, and the value of this capacitance is nothing but your 1 by k naught. This is the value of capacitance, 1 by k naught. Okay, so in case of pole at 0, for impedance function, we will have a capacitor in series. Capacitor in series. Okay, things have reversed. What was there in the previous case? Let me come back. We had pole at infinity in ZS. So what did we have? We had inductor in series. Now what do we have? We have pole at 0 in ZS. And what do we have now? We have capacitor in series. Okay, and I think now you can easily guess what will be the case in case of pole at 0 in ys. So I can tell that it will be capacitor, in place of capacitor, what we will have? We will have inductor. In case of series, what we'll have? Parallel. So we'll have a parallel inductor in case of our pole at 0 in ys. See, in case of admittance function, if we have pole at 0, okay, so obviously degree of polynomial, denominator polynomial is more than that. So this is nothing but the same thing. Now what is this k naught by s? K naught by s is nothing but now the admittance function. Okay, so your admittance function is represented as 1 by ls for the case of inductor. So if you compare, what do we get? We get L is equal to 1 by k naught. Okay, and since this is admittance, so this we will have one inductor in parallel. Okay, so and in case of pole at infinity in ys, what was the case? Here we had capacitor in parallel, so that has become inductor in parallel in case of pole at 0. So what we have done, dear students, till now we have identified two things. We have identified pole at infinity and pole at 0. Okay, and both these things we have defined for impedance function and admittance function. And we already know impedance and admittance, they are dual of each other. Okay, if you can understand impedance function, you need not read about admittance function, that you can easily make out. So if you feel comfortable, you do not put much attention to the admittance, you simply put attention to the impedance function, and then you can easily work out for admittance. So if I talk about impedance function, if in impedance function I have pole at infinity, that means I have an inductor in series. I can extract an inductor in series. If I have pole at 0, in case of impedance function, I can say that I have a capacitor in series. Okay, I extracted K naught by S. So just see, pole at infinity in ZS, I have LS, or you can say HS. Okay, which is inductor in series. And pole at 0 means I have a capacitor in series, where I have K naught by S. Okay, so I hope this thing is clear to each and every student. Okay, so dear students, after looking into the two cases where we had poles at infinity and poles at 0, now we will look into the conditions where we will have poles on imaginary axis. Okay, and we are considering impedance function for the time being. Okay, so poles on imaginary axis means if we have a pole 0 plot, your poles, conjugate poles will be there. So, and those poles are lying on the imaginary axis. This is the meaning that we have such poles. Okay, and if you recall, these poles were like this. Say if you had s square plus 2, say, in the uh, denominator. So what we used to have, if you solve it, it will be give you s is equal to plus minus under root 2 j. Okay, so you will have your roots on imaginary axis if you have a kind of factor that is s square plus omega square in the denominator. So if you have such factor in your denominator, then we will say that we have a pair of, you can say, conjugate poles on imaginary axis in case of your impedance function. And this thing is pretty straightforward. You can see here that we have z is equal to plus minus j omega 1, and our network function should have a factor of the form s square plus omega 1 square, or omega square, one and the same thing. So denominator will have a factor of this form. Okay, and if you simplify those factors, then you will have s plus j omega 1 into s minus j omega 1, which is nothing but the one and the same thing. So your impedance function can be, you can say, expressed like this. So ps is the numerator. In the denominator we have s square plus omega square, which represents imaginary axis poles, and this q1 is the remaining part of your denominator polynomial. Okay, and now we want to move further. So if we have such kind of network function, we'll have to solve this network function. Okay, so we will split this thing into two part. One part will be having this square portion, and another is remaining one. So this is what we have done. This is our imaginary axis part. We call it as z1s. Okay, and the remaining is the z2. So now we are solving z1 part. So using partial fraction approach, we already know we can write, split these poles as s minus j omega 1, s plus j omega 1, and the two residues, they will be complex conjugate. We have already seen that. But here, if you remember, if you recall your PR functions condition, there we had seen that in case of PR function, your residues must be real and positive. Your residues cannot be uh, complex. So if these are real, it means this star does not have any meaning, means both residues are equal in case of your PR function. So your K1 and K1 star, they must be equal. So for this specific case, these two will be equal when we talk about poles on imaginary axis in impedance function while realizing that network function. Okay, so this K1 and K2 are equal. So if you solve, then this thing, then we get, this is what we get. I have again reproduced the same thing So here this K1 and K1 star, they will be equal. So by taking K1 K1 star equal to K, and if you solve it, you get this thing 2Ks by S square plus omega square. This is what we get. Okay. And as I told you, this is nothing but Z1. So, and Z2 is the another part, this one remaining part. Since we are in the process of extracting Z1 and representing Z1, that's why we are taking into consideration Z1 separately. And we are talking of synthesization of Z1. So what do we get? Z1 is 2Ks upon S square plus omega 1 square. Okay. So then we take this 2Ks in the denominator, and this is what we get. We get S by 2K, 1s will be cancelled, and then it will have omega 1 square by 2k1s. Okay. Now look at this thing carefully. This is impedance. So impedance Z is equal to 1 by admittance. This is very clear. Okay. And if I express this admittance Y as say 1 plus Y1 by Y2, if I do it like this, it means this Y is equal to Y1 plus Y2. And when we will have this thing, Y equal to Y1 plus Y2, when Y1 and Y2 will be in parallel. These impedance will be in parallel, only then we will have Y equal to Y1 plus Y2. Okay. So here Z1 is nothing but 1 by Y, and this Y is Y1 plus Y2. It means these are in parallel. Okay. So this has been represented here 1 by YA plus YB. Now let us see what is YA. So our YA is what? S by 2K. S by 2K. This is admittance. And when do we have admittance having S in the numerator? This is the case when we have admittance of capacitor. So for capacitor, we have admittance is equal to CS. Okay. Now compare. So that means we have the value of capacitance C as equal to 1 by 2K. So YA means a capacitor having value 1 by 2K. Fine. Now let us see YB. What is YB? What is YB? YB is omega square by 2K1S. Omega square by say 2Ks. Fine. So here what we have, this is admittance, and we have S in the denominator, which is equivalent to what? 1 by LS. Okay. Where compare, what is L? L is 2K by omega square. See, L is equal to 2K by omega square. Fine. Now YA and YB, they are added together. It means YA and YB are in parallel. It means this capacitor and inductor, they are in parallel. So what does it mean? That in case of Z1, we have such condition. We have such kind of thing. We have L and C, they are in parallel. Okay. And then it is in series with the remaining part, which is expressed as a Z2. This is the case. Fine. This is your YA and this is your YB. Sorry, I think I misspelled it. YB will be the upper one. Okay. So this will be your YB inductor part, and this will be your YA. and then this is your Z2. So if we have in impedance function poles on imaginary axis, in that case, our Z1 part that we have segregated, it will have an inductor and capacitor in parallel. See, two elements are connected in parallel. Two elements are connected in parallel in case of impedance function. Okay, and I think you can easily guess this thing now. When we have imaginary axis poles in ys, there we will have inductor and capacitor, but instead of those inductor capacitor in parallel, those will be in series. Let us see in the next slide. See, I have made correction in the previous slide only just to make things clear. Impedance has been converted to admittance. ZS becomes YS. ZS become YS. Here also YS. And there what we had Z1 is equal to 1 upon YA plus YB. And here what we have, YS is equal to 1 upon ZA plus ZB. And impedance as a combination of, you can say summation, means they are in series. Okay, so that means your inductor and capacitor, they are in series here. Rest of the things are exactly same. So just a duality things applied. We have inductor and capacitor here in parallel, whereas had it been in the form of admittance function, and we had say poles on imaginary axis in admittance function, in that case your inductor and capacitor will be in series. Okay, they will be in series. Uh, so how will you represent? Like this, say you have inductor, you have capacitor. Okay, this is nothing but your y1, and you have y2 in parallel, which we do not know what does it consist of. This is y2 and this is your y1. We have identified y1, y2 is yet to be identified. I hope this thing is clear to everybody. So students, now we move forward. So this is the summary of what we have discussed till now. So for an impedance function, we identified the location of pole at s equal to infinity that indicated series inductor. Okay. Whereas for the impedance function, when we had pole at 0, it indicated series capacitor. So for the case of impedance function, we had series inductor and series capacitor respectively when the pole was at infinity and the pole was at 0. Okay, and in case of pole at imaginary axis, we had parallel LC. Okay, in case of LC it was parallel, whereas individual inductor capacitor, they were in series. So apply duality to this. That means in case of admittance function, your pole at infinity, it means we had series inductor here. So there we will have parallel capacitor. See, parallel capacitor. In case of pole at 0, we had series capacitor. Series capacitor, series become parallel capacitor, but becomes inductor. So parallel inductor. See, parallel inductor for the case of 0. Now in case of LC, we had earlier parallel LC. Here we'll have series LC. See, series LC in case of j omega axis poles. So that's what I want to tell you, that if you are aware of all the things, or if you are able to understand all the things in impedance domain, then you have to simply apply duality principle to obtain things for your admittance. And normally we are habitual of expressing our things in impedance. Okay, we feel it easy to observe things using impedances. So that's why we try to understand impedance thing first, and then we will look into the admittance. So whatever you are convenient with, either impedance or admittance, try to understand that and apply duality to that thing. Okay. So again, the same thing, if I express that thing mathematically, for pole at s equal to 0, we had a factor that we extracted was k naught by s. For pole at infinity, the extracted factor was ks. So see, s equal to 0, we are representing k with the subscript 0. S equal to infinity, it means your k is k infinity. Okay. And in case of conjugate poles at j omega axis, our extracted term was 2ks upon s square plus omega square. Okay. And say now if we have say all the three things present in any network function along with some other things also, then what will be our zs? Our zs will be having k naught by s, which is pole at s equal to 0. This is pole at imaginary axis, this is pole at infinity, and this is the remaining part, we do not know what is there. Okay. So that way we will keep on extracting one by one all the things from the network and identifying those elements and representing those elements in the network. Okay. So this will be our approach to synthesize the network, and long division will help us in extracting those elements one by one. Okay. So this is how things will look like. So it is nothing but the representation that I have shown you in the previous slide. See, our ZS is this one, say this one. So for this, I told you that for in case of impedance, we are having series realization. So for that, what we have series realization of an impedance function in ZS. So this is what, this is your pole at 0. Okay. This is your pole at imaginary axis, inductor capacitor in parallel. Okay. And this is our pole at infinity. And see, but all these individual elements, they are in series. These three are in series. Okay. Individually, these are in parallel. Okay. And then this total is also again in series with Z2S, and we do not know what is there in Z2S. So this is what we can express as series realization. So just now you see what we had this network function in S, which was just a mathematical function in S. And what we have realized this network function in the form of capacitor, inductor, then capacitor in series or in parallel. This is the beauty of this topic of network synthesis. I hope now you are clear about the concept of network synthesis. So now we have parallel realization. So for parallel realization, this is K naught by S. So in case of admittance, this K naught by S will be nothing but an inductor in parallel. This is LC in series. So this is LC in series. This is what? This is capacitor. This is capacitor. And all these elements, individual elements, they are in parallel. Okay. And they're also in parallel with y2, that we do not know what is there. That's why since these are in parallel, that's why they have expressed in the form of summation. So this is your parallel realization of admittance function. And I think now you are able to visualize the topic or the concept that I wanted to clarify to you people. Okay. In fact, your ZS representation, sorry, here by mistake I have written ZS. It will not be ZS, it will be your YS. Okay. So this is your ZS and this is your YS. This is our objective. In a way, we are trying to follow a recursive approach. Okay. We are extracting one element by element till we get the last element. Okay. In the network function. So now, as we have looked into the concept of extraction, now we need to define the procedure of synthesis. Okay. And in this procedure of synthesis, many steps we have already talked about, but not with the name that is the steps of synthesis. But if I explain, you will be able to understand. And let me tell you, this step 1 and step 2 we have not talked in today's lecture, but in some other way we have already talked about this step 1 and step 2 in the last class, where we talked about PR function and Hurwitz polynomial. So though a few things may not appear to you that these have been discussed, but when we discuss examples, you will be able to understand that. Okay, so let me read out step 1 for you, and then I think you should understand step 1 and step 2. And from step 3 onwards, we have already talked about those. So let us see. Your step 1 is obviously your function, network function that you are realizing, it must be a PR function. Obviously that PR function will be either in the form of impedance or admittance. So first thing that we will do is, I hope you remember that in PR function we had talked about real of z j omega. I hope you remember this. We had said that this real part of zj omega, it must be greater than 0. This we had defined in PR function. So first thing we have to do, or we have to calculate, is real part of zj omega, and this will come. Obviously what we are given with, we are given zs. So in that zs function, we have to substitute s equal to j omega. This is the first thing that we have to do. And same is the thing that is written here. In this first step, substitute j omega for s. Okay. And once we have substituted, we have to rationalize that. And after rationalizing, we have to find the real part. So your first step is this one, this calculation of real part of zj omega. And I hope you have been able to correlate this zj omega and its real value with what we have discussed in PR function and your Hurwitz polynomial. Okay, so now after doing that real part of zj omega, in the second step, what we will do, we will find out the minimum value of that real part of zj omega. Okay, so let me tell you, this real value of zj omega, fine, this real value of zj omega, it may be a constant value, it may be some constant value. Okay, when you calculate here in step 1, or in step 1 it may be some function of omega, some function of omega. What does it mean? That if you calculate real part of zj omega, you may get an answer, say 5, or you may get an answer, say 5 omega square. I hope you are able to understand. This 5 is a constant. It is not dependent on the value of omega. Whatever be the value of omega, this will remain 5. But you may get a value 5 omega square, which is dependent on omega. So as the value of omega changes, this real part of zj omega will change. Okay, in such case where you get a value which is dependent on omega, we have to find out the minimum value of that. Okay, and with the help of numerical, we will try to look into. So in step 2, we will find that minimum value, and that minimum value will be a constant term. Okay, so what our objective here is that when we calculate real part of zj omega, it should give us a completely constant term. If it gives, it's good. If it doesn't give, we will find out the minimum value. Okay, and then we will represent accordingly. Fine. And this constant value, what does it represent? This constant value will represent resistance R. Okay, series resistance. If you have impedance function, it will be series resistance, and if you have admittance function, it will be a shunt resistance. Okay, and same is the case with your this minimum value. I hope this step is clear, and it will be more clear when we take some examples. But right now, in the examples that I have considered in today's lecture, I have not put much emphasis on this step 1 and step 2, but on the remaining step. And in the coming classes, I will take some examples where we will have consideration related to these steps also. So this is step 3. Okay, in step 3, what we have done that see, as I told you that first step is we have to find out real part of zj omega. If it is some constant, it is okay. Otherwise, the real part of zj omega may be 0. It means, what does it mean? That there is no real part. Okay, in that case, we will directly come to step 3. So where it is written that the given function does not have any real part, not have any real part. In that case, that our impedance or admittance function does not have any resistive part. It has only inductance and capacitance. It has only inductance and capacitance. Okay, so as we saw here, see, here we had only inductance and capacitance, though some constant part could be here, but only inductance capacitance is there. There is no resistance being shown here. Okay, so this is your step number 3. Now in step 4, now we check the things that we have discussed. We check whether the numerator has one s term higher. If numerator has one s term higher, it means we have pole at infinity, that is s equal to infinity. Okay, if we have denominator has one term higher, we call pole appears at s equal to 0. This is we have already talked about. We will identify this thing in step 4. Then step 5. In step 5, what we will do, we will perform long division. You remember in those slides also we had performed long division. See, this was nothing but long division. We had segregated this. Okay, similarly here also we had done long division, we got hs. So with the help of long divisions, we will obtain quotients through long division, and those quotients will give us the extracted term. Okay, so you can see here that the quotient will give us extracted term either k naught s, okay, or k naught by s. Fine. And you know whether your function is impedance or admittance, you will have inductor or capacitance in series or in parallel, whatever way. So if you remember, we had k naught s at as quotient here, or we had k naught by s as quotient, and then we had identified whether this is an inductor or capacitor, or this is an inductor or capacitor. Okay, this was inductor in impedance case, and this was capacitor in admittance case. This was uh, capacitor in impedance case, and it was inductor in your admittance case. Okay, so this was your step number 5. And in step number 6, what we do basically, uh, what we did, we had expressed zs equals to, say for example, z1s plus z2s. Okay, so what we have done, we have extracted z1s, and our we have represented that in the form of inductor or capacitor. Say we called it as hs, or say k by s. We did that. Now we are left with z2, and we have to proceed with z2 now. So before proceeding with z2, what we will do, we will invert it. Okay, if you remember, like what we will write, z2, in order to invert means we will write z2 as 1 by y2. That is nothing but one and the same thing mathematically, but we have inverted it. Okay, and then we will start with this inverted part, say y2 part. Okay, and we keep on doing like that. We will again extract elements out of this y2. Okay, after extracting whatever will be left, we will again invert, and we will keep on like this. So what we do, once the first part of the function is realized, the remainder is inverted. Okay, and again realization is started or commenced, and then we continue. Okay, and with these steps our synthesis process will be over. And now with the help of numerical examples, we will see how to realize the network. And I hope with these numerical examples your concepts will be more clear, or these steps will be very clear to you people. Okay, so I have included 3-4 examples. It will not take much time, but explaining these numerical examples is very, very important. Only then you will be able to appreciate whatever we have done till now. Okay, so let us do it. So what we have to do, we have to realize the network. We have been given driving point impedance. So this is our ZS. This is our network function. Okay, so let us see here. I told you the first step was you have to determine whether the real part of Z j omega exists or not. Here I have not considered that, but if you calculate the real part, that real part will come out to be 0. So that you do on your own after this lecture is over. So your real part will come out to be 0. So we can directly start with step 3 of our synthesis procedure. Means we can identify whether we have pole at 0 or infinity or not. If you look at carefully, in the numerator we have 1 power higher. So 1 power higher means we have a pole at s equal to infinity. And since this is an impedance function, okay, so what we will have, we will have Zs is equal to Hs plus the remaining part, say Z2. I hope you are able to recall that. And how will we find this Hs? We will perform long division. This is how what we have done in long division. S square by 2 as divisor, S cube plus 4s in the dividend. So our quotient is S. So if you solve it, you get 2s as the remainder. So what do we get? This is what do we get. Zs is equal to S plus 2s by S square plus 2. S is nothing but Hs. That is, the value of H is how much? 1. So it means, what is the value of inductor? The value of inductor is 1 Henry. Okay. So what we have an inductor of 1 Henry in series with Z2. We do not know what Z2 is presently. We do not know that. But this thing is, we have extracted 1 Henry. Okay. Now we have to find out Z2. So let us move forward. So this is what we obtained. Now this is our Z2. Okay, I told you that. Now what we will do, we will invert. So inversion means Z2 will be Y2, and inversion means S square plus 2 by 2S. This is what we have. Again, follow the same procedure. Degree of numerator is higher. It means we have a pole at S equal to infinity. Okay. So, and since now what is this? This is admittance function. So in admittance function, if we have HS, it indicates a capacitor. Okay. So we have a parallel capacitance. Earlier we had series inductor. Here now we have parallel capacitor. So let us see. This is what you have. So if you solve it, uh, just a minute. If you solve it, uh, s square by 2s, this becomes s by 2 plus 2 by 2s. 2 is cancelled. What do you get? 1 by s. So these are two straightaway terms of Y2S. It means sum of two admittances. So this is also admittance, this is also admittance, and they are summation. It means they are in parallel. Okay, so what is this? This is a capacitor. What is this? This is an inductor. So these inductor and capacitor, they are in parallel. So let us see. See, S by 2, 1 by S. This is admittance. This is admittance. They are in parallel. What is the value of this capacitor? It is CS. C is 1 by 2. See, C is 1 by 2. What is this inductor? The value of inductor is 1. This is 1 Henry inductor. And these are in parallel. So these L and C are, they are combined parallelly. Okay. This is for Y2, which was nothing but equal to 1 by Z2. Okay. And if you remember, this was our original function. So that we had expressed as Z1 plus Z2, and Z2 was nothing but 1 by Y2. And Y2 we have expressed like this. We are left with Z1. What was Z1? Z1 was inductor in series of 1 Henry. So this is 1 Henry inductor in series. And this is your complete network. This is how we continuously by following continuous steps, we realize a given network. Okay. So this is our example number 2. So here also we have an impedance function. Okay. And this is our impedance function for which we have to realize the network. This is S4 plus 10S square plus 7 divided by S cube plus 2S. Okay. So as I told you that we have to first substitute S equal to J omega. We will do that, and we will find that there is no real part. It means Z J omega is 0. Okay. So it means that there is no resistive element in this circuit. So that thing is clear. You can check it at your home by solving it. Now if you look at this thing carefully, the degree of numerator is 1 higher than the degree of denominator. So if this is the case, it means we have pole at infinity. It means we will have the case of k infinity in this numerical. Okay. So k infinity, and we have impedance function. So obviously it means we will have an inductor in series first. Okay. So you can see that it implies a series inductor. Okay. So we will perform long division and find out the value of this series inductor first. So let us do that. So we have done long division. So if we do long division, the quotient is S, which has been written here. This is the remaining part. So we are left with this one. This S is nothing but your series inductor. And you can see, since it is S, so its value is 1 Henry. Okay. Now we are left with this second part. So as I told you, in order to solve this, we will have to invert it and then apply long division. So let us see that we have inverted this. Now we get, after inversion, this term S cube plus 2S by 8S square plus 7. Now if we see to it, the degree of numerator is 1 higher. So we again have pole at infinity, that is nothing but k infinity, but this time it is admittance function. And since this is admittance function, so we will have a capacitor, and this capacitor will be in parallel. We had inductor in series, but this capacitor will be in parallel. Okay. So see, Y3 will give us parallel capacitor. So we will again apply long division. Let us see. We applied long division. This is what we get as quotient. We will express our Y3 as sum of two admittances. This is what do we get. So this is nothing but a parallel capacitor. We are now left with this term. Okay. See, we have a capacitor whose value is 1 by 8 farad. So what we had initially, we had one series inductor of 1 Henry. Here we have a parallel capacitor of 1 by 8 farad. Now the remaining portion will again be long divided. This is what we are doing here. This is the term. We inverted that previous term. This was the term, we inverted it. So this was admittance. So we inverted, it becomes impedance. So if you solve it just by a simple division, you get 64 by 9 into S, 56, and these are impedance term. So in this impedance term, what do we have? We have S in the numerator. So this is nothing but inductor. And what is this? This is a capacitor. This inductor, value of this inductor is 64 by 9, because this is an impedance term. This is a capacitor, 1 by Cs, it value is 9 by 56. Okay, and since this is an impedance, so this inductor and capacitor, they will be in series. So series inductor and series capacitor. And we are left with no more element. So our job is done. So let us see the network. This is the network. We have 1 Henry inductor. Okay, it was in series with the entire network. This is the Z2S. In Z2S, what we then obtained, we obtained a parallel capacitor. So we applied a capacitor in parallel. Then what we have done, we have obtained inductor and capacitor in series. So these are in series, but they're in parallel with this. So this is the complete realization. Okay. So I hope this thing is very clear. So try to understand that by proceeding in a systematic fashion, things become so simple. So you can very easily see here. So let us see one more example. So here we have again ZS, and this is our network function. This is a bit different from the earlier one. Here we have some more things. Uh, See, in the previous numericals, two numericals, we had a pole at infinity. In this numerical, we have a pole at 0. So see, in the denominator, we have S common. So if you again express denominator like this, you have S into 2s square plus 2. So this S is nothing but a pole at 0. So it gives us value S equal to 0. So this is a pole at 0. But before we move forward, we have to find out the real value of S equal to j omega. And this real value is some constant value. Okay, so we will see to that. So first let us carry out the long division method. So the long division is carried out here. Our quotient is 3. Okay, so 3 is a constant. Fine. If you remember earlier what we had case, in case of pole at infinity, we used to get say 3s. In case of pole at 0, we used to get say s by 3. Okay, but here surprisingly we have got only 3 if we perform long division, which is a constant. So it means this constant value is nothing but an a resistance. Okay, as I told you. So if you express this long division, you get, instead of hs, now you are getting only say 3 plus this one. So this 3 is nothing but, since it is an impedance, this 3 gives us a series resistance. See, series resistor. So we have extracted a series resistance. Now we are left with this one. So as our systematic procedure, we will invert it. Okay, and then realize it. So if we do that, we inverted, we got admittance. So here you see the numerator has one power higher. It means we have a pole at infinity. We have a pole at infinity. We will pole at infinity, and this is your admittance function. It means we have a parallel capacitor. Okay, so let us see long division. This is the long division. We get 2s by 5. So your y2 becomes this one. So this is nothing but a parallel capacitor. Now we are left with this. So we will invert it and then perform the long division. Parallel capacitance we have already extracted. We inverted, we get this. Okay. So now you uh, solve it directly. What do you get? Your Z4 12.5s plus this. So this is the sum of two impedances. This is nothing but inductor. This is nothing but a capacitor, and they are in series. So this Z4, they are in series. This is this one, 12.5s, and this is they are in series. But this Z4 is in parallel with the earlier one. This was the Z4 that we have written. This is in parallel with 2s by 5, means Y3, which was nothing but a parallel capacitance. So this is your parallel capacitance. So these are in parallel, which are in series with the 3 ohm resistance that we had initially obtained. Okay. So this 3 ohm resistance you could have obtained by finding out the real part of Zj omega. It would have given you 3, or in the long division also you could get this 3. So there could be many methods to solve a given numerical. So here in this numerical you have all the 3 flavors. Okay. So I hope this numerical is clear to all of you. Now this is the last example. So all last 3 examples, they were dedicated for impedance. Here I have taken admittance. So this admittance ys is 4s square plus this one. Okay. Here that real part you calculate from your side. I'm coming directly to this thing, that numerator is having 1 degree higher. So it means we have a pole at s equal to infinity. Okay. So it means we have a parallel capacitor. Now we will find its value through long division. So if we do that by long division, 4s we get, it means the capacitance value is nothing but 4 farad. So this is what we express with. Okay. So this we have extracted. For this we will again invert it in the next step. So if we invert, we simply solve it, we get this. So this 1 by 2 is nothing but a constant. Just a minute. 1 by 2s. Yeah, it is a constant term. So 1 by 2s is nothing but, since this is impedance, so it is a capacitor. This is a resistance. So what we have the value of capacitor as 2 farad. Okay. This is what do you get. You have a 2 farad capacitor that is in series with 1 by 2 ohm resistance, because that was a constant value, and that was in total in parallel with the capacitor of 4 farad. Okay. So so this was the example related to your realization of your network, electric network, using network synthesis procedure. So students, we stop here, and we will continue in the